What does a big church look like? Some of us grew up in churches that were made up of our grandparents, cousins, and siblings. There were small rural churches that moved and flowed based on the harvest pattern. You knew everyone's names and relations, and if a decision needed to be made at church, it was almost always a family reunion discussing and voting on the issue. If someone was sick or struggling, everyone had pastor's number to call and let him know. Others of us have only ever known congregations with multiple pastors, church workers, and support staff. You know the pastor and see him every week, but it felt like a new face sitting next to you every Sunday. When decisions were made about the church, you were informed that the head pastor and the lay leaders came up with it. And while not many people had the head pastor's phone number, there were teams of people you could call if you were in need or sick or just looking to connect. We also have many in our family here at Christ that are new to this whole church thing and never realize there is a difference between how small and big churches operate. Christ Lincoln is a beautifully unique place. We have 3 worshiping communities, 1 elementary school, and 2 early childhood centers across 2 different campuses. Even with all those pieces, we are still one place celebrating the mission of being Christ to Lincoln and beyond. We have a primary pastor for each worshiping community, but we are not 3 separate churches. Each weekend, Christ Lincoln has 8 worship services across those communities with thousands of people coming through our doors. This is a big place. Being a big place means that decisions cannot always or even often be made through full consensus and voting. This means policy and leadership is done by just a few. Being a big place also means that parts of ministry, hospital visits, discipling, and community building are primarily done by the congregational members and leaders, not necessarily professional ministerial staff. To summarize these thoughts, at a big place like Christ Lincoln, ministry is done by many, and policy is done by a few. To faithfully care for our community of believers and to manage an organization as large as ours, Christ Lincoln employs a policy-based governance. This means that our lay leadership board, representatives of the overall congregation and its different communities, sets the policies for the executive pastor to lead the organization by. Then the executive pastor, working with the executive team, a group made up of executive-level staff members, directs the ministry and releases the staff to coordinate, support, and equip the members of the congregation to do work or ministry. This follows through on God's design for the church as detailed by St. Paul in Ephesians chapter 4. And he gave the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, and teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry. This structure helps create a clarity in leadership, a capacity to act quickly in decision-making, and an ability to have specialized skills and roles. With the policy-based governance, the ministry of the church is granted an even greater freedom to use and explore the gifts, talents, and passions of the members of the body of believers to be Christ to Lincoln and beyond. Members of this family of believers have the opportunity to live out their faith by using those passions and talents without being encumbered by the meetings and long-range planning required by organizational leaders. Our structure actually releases us as members to be the hands and feet of Jesus in our communities. There are challenges with doing ministry in a big place. Sometimes communication does not get to everyone who needs to hear it. We become a little lost in knowing who to talk to about what. We can even get lost in the crowd. With many faces across many services, it's easy to stay distant and not involved. The need for formal decision-making can at times make us feel that the church has become too business, because we feel that we're not always aware of what is happening, or that we as individuals have a say in it. To address these challenges, we are always working hard at communicating as clearly as possible and regularly identifying the key leaders in our different communities. We're also trying to engage every person to gather in rows and worship, circles and small groups, arrows and serving both in and out of the church, and dots of personal time with God. The beautiful uniqueness of Christ Lincoln requires an organizational structure that helps us be faithful stewards of the resources God has provided for us. Knowing that the business side of church is being managed and taken care of, releases us as members to do the work of ministry for Jesus in this community. We get to be Christ to Lincoln and beyond.